I'm Holly, and this is my first video based on my job as a flight attendant for a major airline, so I hope you enjoy it. I'm really just creating this video for two reasons. One, because I get a lot of questions about my job, and so maybe this will answer some of them. And two, I know that there are a lot of people right now who are actually looking into being a flight attendant because positions are opening for various companies, and I don't want you going into it without knowing what you're getting yourself into. And hopefully this helps you a little bit, because a lot of flight attendants get into the job and after training they don't like it. They realize it's not for them. So maybe this will save you some time if you realize that this isn't for you, or be like, yeah, this is great, I do want to do this, let's go for it. So even though there are a lot of flight attendants, I realize it's not a very ubiquitous profession that people just come across every day, unless you happen to travel for work and you're on a plane all the time like I am. So when I meet somebody new and they realize that I'm a flight attendant, they always say about the same kind of stuff, like, oh, that's so cool, what's your favorite place that you've been to, what's your route, do you love it? And I always do say, yes, I do love it. I really do enjoy this job. And on November 30th, I will have been doing it for 3 years. So the longest job I've ever held. I guess because it doesn't bore me like my other jobs used to. I used to get so fed up so easily and just bored out of my mind from my previous jobs. I've done everything from serving and promotions to teaching and babysitting, and I was an assistant manager in an apartment complex, and my last job was an inside sales representative, which just like was eating at my soul slowly. And it's sad because everything about that last job, my inside sales job, was great. My manager was superb. He was hilarious and fun and professional, and just, he was awesome, and you don't really get good managers all the time. So, and then my coworkers were also fun and goofy. The job I was doing was easy. I was good at it. My clients loved me. It was great money, but I had to quit because of two reasons. Every Sunday would come around and I would be like, oh, I have to work tomorrow. Every Sunday, regardless, like without fail, I would feel that way. And every day of the week, Monday through Friday, when I would walk into my office, I would walk back to my corner cubicle, which was the envy of everyone else in the office because it was the corner. So I had 2 windows right behind me. Everyone wanted it. But as I was walking back to that cubicle, I just felt this sense of dread and just, I don't know how to explain it, but I just walked to the back there and I was just not looking forward to my day. I knew exactly what it was going to consist of. It was just the same crap over and over again. Taking notes, making phone calls, meeting quotas. No, not for me. And I started looking for jobs. And my mom told me, why don't you just try being a flight attendant? You'll see how that goes. I was like, okay. So I applied, and here we are. As much as I do love it, it's not as glamorous as it used to be. Back in the 60s when it was novel and fun and sexy. It's really not like that anymore. So again, if you're looking to be a flight attendant, just pay attention and see if this is going to be what you want it to be, which is still great. Like, please, if you decide that this is for you, then come fly with us. If I were to explain being a flight attendant in one word, I would use exhausting. Yeah, exhausting definitely sums it up. Did you know that flight attendants actually have to work up to 15 hours a day? Like, that's on our feet moving around or sitting at the airport, 15 hours. And for all of that, we're not even getting paid, because we only get paid for being in the air. Like, as soon as that door closes on the aircraft, that's when we start getting paid. Not even then. As soon as the doors close and the plane pushes back, then we start getting paid. We do get paid a per diem for being away from base, but it's not a lot. So like I said, 15 hours is our maximum duty day. But we can extend if we want to, and we can get paid more than our normal amount for extending, which is nice if you want to extend, which I usually don't, because after 15 hours, I'm done. I can't even think straight anymore. Another reason why exhausting fits is because you're literally just running around the whole time. You have to go into the airport, you gotta go through KCM, which is known crew member security for flight crew, and you have to go to your gate, you have to walk through the terminal, cross over the terminals, go to different areas, and then once you get off your plane, you have to get out to the pickup wherever your van's coming to take you to your hotel, and sometimes that's like feels like it's 5 miles away from when you get off the airplane, especially if you're in heels, okay, because ladies, we're supposed to be wearing heels in our jobs, but I'm not that much of a masochist, so I have stopped wearing them as much because I love my feet and I don't want to hurt them. So I don't wear my high heels to work all the time like I used to. I love wearing high heels, but not when I have to do it for 15 hours a day. Not even 12, not even 8 hours a day. I just want to wear them when I'm going out on special occasions, and I want to enjoy them. I don't want to be like, oh, I gotta wear my heels, I gotta go to work. Being a flight attendant, you have to get your nutrition whenever you get a chance to. You have to throw food in your mouth whenever you get a chance. You'll be behind the gate, all the customers will be out there, all the passengers are about to be boarding, and you're behind the gate, the agent's in front, and you're scrounging down some food because you haven't eaten in like 6 hours and you're starving. Or you got something in your hand you're eating as you go down the jet bridge because you just got to get some in so you're not hangry, because a hangry flight attendant is not a happy flight attendant. You don't want your flight attendants to be hungry, especially this one. So happy and non-hangry Holly makes a better experience for you. People will yell at you all the time as a flight attendant for things that are completely out of your control, including Mother Nature, lost bags, something else that's going on in their day that they just want to throw at you. I get it. Everyone has lives that you don't know about, so I try and take everything with a grain of salt, and I don't judge people straight off from their first impression. If someone yells at me for something that, clearly I didn't do, I just smile and try and make them feel better and be like, okay, maybe you're not always this mean. Maybe you're a nice person. So let's just say that you're having a bad day. So people will yell at you. So get used to that. You gotta put on a hard shell and just let it not bother you, On top of people yelling at you, you also have to take care of sick people on the plane. It doesn't happen a lot, not like they're not just terribly sick people, but people throw up or they have headaches, nosebleeds, etc., and you have to take care of it. And sometimes people have kids, and kids can throw up on you, so that can happen, and that's not fun. And it's not even just kids, it's adults too. Sometimes I feel like being a flight attendant, we're just babysitting adults, because you wouldn't believe how people just fight on the plane like they're kids. And so you have to be able to diffuse a situation, if you want to be a flight attendant, between adults, like grown humans. So keep that in mind as well. We also have very short layovers sometimes, and our minimum layover is 8 hours. I think maybe 8.5 hours now, depending on what the Federal Aviation Administration decided. But so having an 8.5 hour layover that's behind the door. So once we close the door, we got eight hours, and that's everything you need to do. So if you want to work out, take a shower, eat, whatever. That doesn't even include sleeping. You don't get 8 hours of sleep. It's just 8 hours behind the door. So we don't get a lot of sleep all the time when we need to. And that's not good, because you really need sleep. Your body really needs sleep. If you didn't know that already, there you go. The 8-hour layovers are my least favorite. And those are only on domestic, of course. On international, it's a completely different story. So this is only going from, like, say you go from DFW to Miami, you got 8 hours in Miami, then you leave the next morning. It's exhausting. Another thing that makes being a flight attendant rough is this beautiful thing called reserve. Not beautiful for us, but beautiful for the company. It's helpful to them and to all the passengers out there. So reserve is when you're on call, basically, for a certain amount of days in a month. And you don't necessarily know where you're going, when you're going, or with whom you're going, but you may or may not be going. So you just have to be ready to go, meaning you can't have any alcohol in your system, you have to have your bags packed, you have to be within 2 hours of the airport, all that good stuff. So reserve can definitely be taxing at times, but it can also be fun, because usually on reserve is when I get international trips, because that means that someone who's senior to me called out because they got sick or something, so they had to call me in to fill in for them. So I'm like, yay, send me to Santiago, let me go to Paris. So that can be fun. That's one thing I like about reserve, even though I haven't gotten an international trip in quite a while. Anyways, another thing that you get on reserve is standby duty. So standbys, you can be a standby for a plane, like for a flight. So say you put yourself on standby to be on this flight. And like you're paying for the ticket, but you want to get on this one instead of the later one. That's a standby as well. We can also be standbys as crew members and employees by putting ourselves on to be a non-revenue standby passenger, meaning we're just paying the taxes on the flight. Except for domestic, we don't really pay anything on those. And so there's those two standbys. And then there's a standby for reserve people. This is where we have to be at the airport from 4 to 6 hours, depending on what they give you, and just sitting around in your uniform, ready to go. You can either be in flight attendant operations, which is where you're kind of supposed to be, but it doesn't really matter. You can be roaming around the airport as long as you're there and you can get to a gate. This is for things that happen really last minute, like say a crew times out and they need you there in 30 minutes, so you got to go to the gate so you can board and we can get everybody out on time. Standby is just a really good way to get some reading done, watch some Netflix, whatever you need to do. But the sad part is we don't even get paid for the full standby. So the standby is 6 hours long. We get paid for 5 hours and 15 minutes. I don't know why. Doesn't make sense to me, but that's how it is. Speaking of sitting around, there's also this thing called sit time, which I'm not a fan of whatsoever. So say we fly from LA to Dallas and sit in Dallas for 3 hours before flying out to Miami. Yeah, that's 3 hours between flights. So we're just sitting in the airport, walking around the airport, just twiddling our thumbs, waiting for the next flight. And I hate it. I hate sit time. It's ridiculous. So those are really the main things that I don't particularly always enjoy about the job. But regardless of all those things, I still love it because it's fun. Like the layovers can be fun if it's long enough. You can go out and do things, and talking with the passengers is fun. We call them PAX, by the way. If I ever say that, that PAX means passengers. So it's fun getting to talk to new people and getting to know their stories and learning things, and joking around with your crew members is fun. And I just love meeting new, genuine people that are just nice and fun to talk to. And every day, every trip you go on is different. You have a new crew, you have new pilots, you have a new layover, you have new passengers. It's just always a different experience, so you never know what to expect. It's never boring. There's always something that's going to happen. Whether it's bad or good, something will always happen. One of the best things about the job is it's flexible. You can move your schedule around willy-nilly however you need it to be. And it's simple. Like, I'm off today. It's a Thursday and I've had all day off. I can go to the grocery store today and no one's going to be there. I don't usually have to go drive in rush hour to work, which is fantastic. I did that this morning to go to the doctor, and I was going to the doctor at 7:30 and I was like, what is this? This is terrible. I could not do this every day. So that's another good thing. And also, don't get me started on the travel benefits. I am a travel-holic. I love going anywhere and everywhere that I can, and to do it cheaply is even better. So yes. Another thing that I love to do in my spare time is to read, but I don't always have time on my off days to do that. However, when I'm flying and I'm done with the service and I'm not walking through checking on passengers, I can just read. So I get so much reading done, and I've gone through so many books. It makes me so happy just to read. I'm getting paid to read. It's amazing. Another thing I like to do is whenever I'm walking through the airport, I'll put in like one of my AirPods and keep the other ear free, and then I'll listen to my podcast. I like to listen to language podcasts to catch me up on my Italian or practice some Spanish, just keep the intellectual juices flowing. So that's really nice to do as well. And I walk through a lot of terminals for a lot of minutes, so I get a lot of podcast time in. Another reason I love the job is it just keeps me moving. I'm not sedentary. I'm not sedentary in my job like I used to be. When I was working in inside sales, I was sitting down all the time. I would stand up to make phone calls and take notes on my computer because I was so tired of sitting down. So in this, you're really moving all the time, so it's great physical activity. And the most important reason why I love this job is I don't dread going into work. I don't wake up and be like, oh, I don't feel drowsy getting ready. I wake up energized and ready to go because I'm like, what's going to happen today? where am I going to go, or sometimes I already know where I'm going to go and I'm excited about where I'm going. That's probably the best part, is that I don't dread it. Even though I don't do as much international flying as I would like to do, I'm still enjoying seeing a lot of the US because I've never seen a lot of the cities before I got the job. Like Salt Lake City and Columbus, Ohio. I love Columbus. If you want to learn more about how I've traveled domestically and enjoyed it, I also have a website, nerdy-nomad.com, where you can read about all of my traveling adventures. And there's a post on there called Flying Domestic, so check that out if you want to read more about that. So if you liked this and enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and have a great day.